believe we are live in all the places we are expecting to be live. Let me make sure that we are tagged and set up the way we're supposed to be. Make sure that's pinned. Okay, we are live. And good morning over here. You all over here. Good morning right here. Good morning right there. Or afternoon or evening, whatever time of day it happens to be for you. What we're going to talk about here today, everybody can see the title, right? We're going to talk about what it means to be professional at what you do, because it appears that some people have some incorrect assumptions about what this term actually means and how it works. And if we have time, or if I decide to take the time, we will also talk about how to professionalize yourself and your business. Are you all open to that conversation? Good. So the reason that I'm even talking about this is because I had someone reach out to me recently. This is a person who I know and like. Good morning over there on Instagram, Soul Art. Good morning on TikTok. I had someone reach out to me recently, and they mentioned this term. They used the word professional because they were talking about something that maybe they saw me say, or they heard me say, or they saw me post on somewhere on social media. I don't know exactly what it was that I said that let's just call activated them or triggered them. Maybe we can use that word. I don't know, because they haven't actually told me. It's an ongoing conversation I'm having with this person to find out what actually the thing is. But in part of the exchange that I had with this individual, good morning, Crespo, this person said, and I'll answer questions at the end, by the way. This person said that some of the things that you have said, or the way that you have said them, and this person was talking to me, they were saying that maybe someone will look at that and they would see it as not being very professional. This is the language that this person used in talking to me. And again, there's an ongoing conversation I'm having with this individual. And again, it's not a negative type of conversation. It's not an argument. But because they brought this up, it got me to thinking, you know what? Many people probably share this person's idea. So just to give you all an idea, not an idea, but a understanding of how I create the material that I create. Because some people who've been following me for a while, you see I put out a lot of material. And people ask me, Dre, how do you come up with the ideas for all the stuff that you put out? Well, one of them is me just thinking about things, and I come up with stuff just from my own experiences and the things that I learned, the things that I mess up on. And I say, damn, other people could probably learn from this as well. So then I make content about it. And one of the other ways that I come up with content, one of the key ways that I come up with content, folks, is by engaging with people like you on a consistent basis. This is the reason why I read the comments that I get on most apps. I read most of the comments. If I can see the comments, and I usually look at the comments, I'll engage with people in the comments. I read my emails. I read my DMs for the most part. I do. Doesn't mean I respond to all of them, but I do see them. And the reason that I do that is because often someone will come to me individually, privately, and they'll mention something, or someone will make a comment and they'll mention something. And I will understand by what they said, whether they are mentioning a specific challenge, or they're asking a question, or they're even making an assertion. They're making a declarative statement. I'll realize that maybe the flaw in maybe why they're asking the question, or the flaw in their approach, or the lack of flaw in their logic or their reasoning and how they came up with it. And I think to myself, okay, I could set this person straight and help them understand what they are missing. But if I only say it to this one person, then the only person who would benefit from it is this one individual, this person who sent me an email, or this person who sent me a DM. So here's what I'm going to do. I'll respond to this person and tell them what they came to me to, and they need to understand, whether it's the exact question that they answer, or I'm answering a better question. This is one of the things that I do as a coach, is when someone asks me a question, I often will help them ask a better quality question, which will lead to the actual answer that they're looking for with respect to their goals. I will also say, okay, well, since I answered it for this one person, I would bet, this is just my theory, that whenever someone comes to me with a challenge, they're not the only human being on the planet who has this exact same challenge. So what I'm going to do is go create some content, whether I write it in a book, whether I make an article about it, I do a live stream about it, I make a YouTube video, a podcast episode. I'll go make some material addressing this exact issue so that everybody can benefit from it, instead of just this one person. And or if somebody 5 years from now, 10 years from now has the same challenge, I don't have to keep answering the same question over and over again. All I'll do is just point them to the material in which I've already addressed that issue. Oh, you asked this question. Somebody asked me that question 8 years ago. Here's the link to the video or the article or whatever it is, or the book where I answered that question already. So this is one of the reasons why I create so much material, because all I'm doing is responding to the challenges that I see in my audience. Or sometimes I make content responding to something that somebody wasn't even talking to me. All right, this is what social media is. Social media is a platform for all of us to tell the rest of the world our business. Isn't that what social media is? You're telling everybody your business. If you post on social media consistently, you're telling the world your business, at least the parts of it that you want them to know about. And I, as a user of social media, and all of you are the same, you are eavesdropping on other people's lives, or at least the parts that they want you to know about, or at least the parts they want you to think that they're living. And when I eavesdrop on other people's situations, and the only app that I really do this on is X, also formerly known as Twitter. That's the only place where I like scroll and engage. So if I'm following you on one of these other apps like Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok, or on TikTok, I don't even follow anybody. So I don't scroll on any of these apps. So I don't know what people are actually doing, but on that app, I will look, because it gives me ideas. When I hear other people talking about their situations or their thoughts or their beliefs or some opinion that they have, it gives me an idea of, you know what, I should make some content around that, because I think there are thousands of people who have that same opinion. There are thousands of people who have that same belief. There are thousands of people who have that same challenge or are asking that same question, or even if I think they're wrong. Often, half of the time, it's something that I may agree with. I would say about 70% of the time is me addressing something that I think people have wrong, just by my opinion. And I'll come out and say, well, most people think this way. I'm going to help you understand why it's actually this way. That's what I'm going to do here today. Help you understand what professional actually means. Because many people think professional means one thing, but it actually means another thing. And some of you may be wondering, well, Dre, who the hell are you? And what gives you the authority to tell people that their belief of what professional means is one thing, but your belief is actually the right one and theirs is the wrong one? What gives you the authority to say that it's the right one? I'm going to tell you what gives me the authority. That's a great question. What gives me the authority is not that I have an idea that's better than your idea. What gives me the authority is that when I talk about what something means, I am not referring to, and I'm not looking at my own beliefs or my own thought system of it. I'm looking at the authority in the English language as to what words mean, which is also known as the dictionary. All right, so that's where we're going to come from here today. We're going to go to the dictionary and see what the dictionary says about professional and why the dictionary matters. I did a whole episode on my show talking about why the dictionary still matters, because in the world that we're in today, society we're in today, you notice that people are playing a whole lot of games with language. Notice how they're changing up the language of things to make it sound softer or better than it actually is. And I don't want to give you too many examples, because TikTok specifically, if I mention some of these words, then they may flag me. So things when it comes to, I can't even say what they are. When it comes to, let's say people are talking about whether they want to have a baby or not. Notice how they change the language of that. There's a term that is being used by a certain group of people, and there's a term that we used to use. They changed it up. Then there are terms like when it comes to if a person under the age of 18 decides that they are no longer this gender, but they're now this gender, there are terms that they're using now to make that sound softer and better different than what it actually is. These are language games. And the reason I point these things out is because when you can change the language of something, it changes the energy of it, it changes the meaning of it, and it can trick people, for lack of a better term, into accepting things they otherwise wouldn't accept if you called it something else. And this is a language game. And I tend to point these things out because I like to make rational and logical arguments. Even if you disagree with me, hopefully you will respect how I came about the point. So why I said I'm missing dictionary, because the dictionary is the authority on what words mean. And if we can't agree on what a word means, then we can't communicate. And if we can't communicate, then all of society collapses. When there is no communication, there is no society. So if we can agree this is what the word means based on the dictionary, not based on me and not based on you, now we can have communication, because you understand what I mean when I say table, or if I say water, or if I say outside. If we have completely different ideas of what those words mean, we cannot communicate. We have no society. Everybody understand what I'm saying? So before I get into my points, let me introduce myself. My name is Dre Baldwin. Many know me as Dre all day. I'm a former 9-year professional athlete, author of 35 books. I've done 4 TEDx talks. I created this brand called Work on Your Game. What we do here is we help professionals like you, perform at your highest level, do so consistently, and produce more results, whatever those results are for you. And we deconstruct to help you do that. That's what our plan is all about. And the way that we do that is we take the tools to help athletes get to the top of the sports game. And we know an athlete who's a professional is in the top 1 or 2% of what they do. And we take the principles that work in sports and we translate those over to the non-sports professional world. Everybody got it? That's what we do over here. So getting into our points. First of all, what we're going to talk about is what is expected of you when the word professional is next to your name. If you call yourself a professional ABC, whatever it is, or you consider yourself to be a professional in your own mind, there are certain expectations that come with that. And I'm going to tell you all 4 of those expectations. And then if we have time, we'll get into how to professionalize yourself and what you're doing. First of all, let's get a definition of the word professional. So when someone uses the word professional as in an adjective, this is what it means. And again, this is out of the dictionary, folks. And there are multiple meanings to professional, and there are 4 of them. Number 1 means relating to a profession. All right. So if someone you got professional training, then we mean that this person's a professional at what they do. Or we ain't got to go into that one. Second one, people expect you to be competent and skilled. If someone tells you they're a professional thing, you expect them to be competent, skilled, and know what they're doing, right? Everybody got that? Right. Third one means conforming to the standards of a profession. Now, this one can be a little bit tricky because the standards of a profession are determined by just the people who are in that profession, the people who are doing it, and standards can vary from place to place. And for example, if let's say you're an entrepreneur, there's no governing body that tells you what an entrepreneur has to do or what the standards of being an entrepreneur are, other than a definition, which is you have started or run a business enterprise while taking on greater than normal financial risk. That's the only standard that there is to be an entrepreneur. And the last one is to engage in something as your main paid occupation. All right, those are the definitions of the word professional. All right, everybody got it? That's what professional means. Notice the things that are not said in those definitions. Let me tell you what is not in those definitions. There's nothing in that definition that says there's a certain way that you need to talk to people. There's nothing in that definition that says that you are not allowed to have an opinion. There's nothing in those definitions that says you need to be neutral on hot button issues because you otherwise may offend people. None of those have anything to do with the definition of the word professional, even though many people use the term professional to allude to those very things that I just said. Now, this point about adhering to the standards of a certain place, maybe you had to do it. If you work in corporate, there are probably certain things you shouldn't say on the internet because you might lose your job. If you work in academia, you work in the government, or you work for a certain company where there is a boss who might be offended by something that you said on your Facebook last weekend that could cost you your job, I would suggest that you adhere to the standards and not do that. All right, that I get that part. However, when you're in my lane, I'm an entrepreneur. I don't have a boss. Nobody tells me what to do. Nobody tells me what I can and can't say. There are no standards that I have to adhere to other than what's in the dictionary, which again, you do something as your main paid occupation and these 4 things I'm about to share with you right now. Another thing that I want you to understand, that you see this suit that I'm wearing right now. Wearing a suit does not make you a professional. Wearing a suit does not make you an entrepreneur. The same way that wearing a pair of Jordan sneakers does not make you a basketball player. Professional is about the way that you conduct yourself, the way you carry yourself, and what you bring to the table and how you deliver. Because if I was wearing basketball shorts and a t-shirt and a hat right now, I would still be a professional. I would still be a business owner. I would still be doing the thing that I'm doing. So the way that you show up, yes, it can lend to people getting the impression. But if we're just talking straight up the dictionary logically, that has nothing to do with it. Okay, so somebody could be wearing some basketball shorts and sneakers. They are just as much a professional, just as much an entrepreneur as somebody with a suit on. Just because you have a suit on doesn't make you a professional. You could be the biggest bum in the town. All right, just because you got that doesn't mean anything. All right, all of that out the way. Let's get the first point. We're talking here today about what is expected of you when the word professional is next to your name. So these are things that I'm telling you are the expectations, no matter what type of professional you are. Number 1, your performance and results are consistent and dependable. First thing expected of you when you are a professional at what you do, whether you call yourself a professional or people perceive you to be a professional, is that your work performance and your results are consistent and dependable. In other words, people know what they're going to get from you and you generally deliver it on a consistent basis. That's a professional. People know what they're going to get and you generally do it. That's a professional. So if you hire let's see, who's a professional? I took a pair of pants, for example, to the dry cleaners this past weekend and asked them if they can do some alterations on some of the sewing because some of the stitching is coming loose. Because they're professionals at what they do, they said the tailor only comes in twice a week. I don't know what the tailor is doing other days, but anyway, tailor only comes in twice a week and they can fix that. I'm expecting them to fix it. Why? Because they're a tailor. That's the reason I'm paying them. Because if I wasn't sure, I'll just do it myself. And I'm not a tailor and I'm not a seamstress. I don't know how to sew, at least not very well. I didn't put myself on the job. I'd rather pay somebody else to do the job. So when someone's a professional, you have a certain expectation of what they can do, what they can't do, and that they're going to get the job done. You hire a plumber, you expect them to be able to fix the pipe, right? If you hire a trainer, you expect that they can help you get in shape and work out and whatever it is they're going to tell you. So when someone has the word professional next to their name, there's an expectation of consistent and dependable performance. Everybody understand it? Point number 2, when the word professional is next to your name, what are the expectations? Number 2, that people expect that you can solve problems because you have seen pretty much everything that can happen in your space. You are expected to be a problem solver when you are a professional. So whatever the problem is, you can solve it. I'll give you an example that demonstrates this very well. So I told you my background is in sports. So I played professional basketball overseas for almost a decade. And I remember I was talking to a coach once, and this is overseas. I can't remember where I was. I think I was in Croatia. And I'm talking to this coach. He wasn't my coach, but he was a coach. And we were recording a video for this like website that was trying to help players play overseas and stuff like that. And I was asking the questions and he was answering them. And I said to him, if a player is in the United States right now, and they want to play professional basketball overseas, but they never have played, what is the most important thing that you look for? And this is a guy who's from overseas. He's a coach, but he's from overseas. What's the most important thing you look for in a player that you assign to your team? This is a very good question, if I may say so myself. So I asked him that question. His answer was this. He said, if we're going to sign an American player to our team, because we can only have one American on our team every year. Now, overseas, different countries, there are different rules, different leagues. But in many leagues, you only have one American player, like by rule, or people just can't afford to have more than one, so they only have one, or they have none. He said, we sign an American player. That player must be able to solve all of our problems. That's what he said. If we sign an American player, the most important thing that player must bring to the table is that they can solve all the problems. And this is what I mean when I say a professional. For example, if I have plumbing issues in my house, the toilet's leaking, the basement is flooded, and I'm turning on the sink faucet and no water's coming out, or the water is brown, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I call a plumber. What am I expecting that plumber to be able to do? First of all, I'm expecting the plumber to understand what the issue is. When I show him everything's going on, he will, maybe you got to look around a little bit, but eventually he's going to figure out, okay, here's the problem. Here's what happened. This pipe is burst, or the water main broke in your neighborhood, or you need to replace this, or this piece isn't working anymore because ABC, or we got to replace this lug nut over here, or we got to fix this screw. I'm expecting the plumber to know what the hell the problem is. Everybody got it? Is this true? If there's an issue, any of you ever been on a plane before and the plane hasn't taken off yet, and then they announce over the loudspeaker, hey, we're having some issues with the landing gear of the plane, or the wheels are not working, or something's going on with the computer. Hey, we're going to be delayed another 30 minutes until we get this fixed. What are you expecting is happening? Now, once you get over the annoyance of your flight being delayed, the first thing you're thinking is, okay, they're going to call in some expert, i.e. a professional, who's going to figure out what the problem is and fix it, right? Isn't that what we expect when we hear the word professional? A professional is expected to know, identify first, and diagnose the problem and then fix it. If you have a tooth issue and you go to the dentist and you haven't been able to sleep because this toothache is bothering you, and the dentist takes a look at what's going on in your mouth, what do you expect the dentist to do? The dentist is going to identify the problem, which probably is what? You probably have a cavity, or you need a root canal, or we got to take this tooth out, or we got to replace it, or we got to clean it up, or whatever the situation is. But either way, you expect the dentist to diagnose the issue. Same thing if something's wrong with your car, you go to an auto mechanic. They're going to tell you what the problem is, even though you don't know. I remember my car, I was driving, I had a Volkswagen when I was like a freshman of college. I had this Volkswagen, and the car I'm driving to school, to campus one day, and the car just stopped. It just stopped running right in the middle of the damn street. I pulled into a gas station. I got the car towed to an auto mechanic, and I said, what's the problem? He looked at it for like 2 minutes under the hood, or 3 minutes. He tried to start the car and it wasn't working. And he said, well, the problem is you got to replace this belt over here, and it costs this much money, et cetera. So they probably robbed me on the price. But in the long story short, he was a professional. He identified the issue. Same thing, if something's wrong with your body, you go to a doctor. What do? Identify the issue. If something's wrong with your physical ability to perform, you go to a physical therapist. What do? Diagnose and identify the problem. So everybody got the point. When you're a professional, people expect you to diagnose problems. You go to someone and say, my problem is ABC. You want to be able to figure out, they expect you to figure out what the problem is and tell them, all right, here's how we're going to solve it. As a coach, for example, when people come to me and they say, all right, my issue is ABC, they give me their list of issues, whatever issues they're dealing with. They expect me, or if they're going to work with me and have me as their coach, you're expecting me to be able to diagnose, okay, here are the problems that you have. I understand it. Let me tell you why these are happening. It's happening because of this, and we're going to fix it by doing A, B, C, D, E, F. Now this is how we start working together. So they're expecting you to do this as a professional. So any of you who's a professional, People expect you to solve problems that they can't solve. That's the reason they're hiring you. They're hiring you because you're going to do something that they can't do. They can do it on their own. They wouldn't be hiring you, generally speaking. Now, sometimes people hire for stuff that they can do on their own because they're trying to save time. This is a different conversation. In context, get my point. Number 3, when you are a professional, what are people expecting of you? Number 3, people expect that they can learn from you. If you're a professional at what you do, people expect that they can ask you a question about your profession and you know some stuff that they don't know. You understand some things that they don't understand because you've seen things that they haven't seen. You've done some studying they haven't done. And another thing on a higher level than this, that when you're a true professional at what you do, you can teach your stuff, not just know it. If you can't teach your thing, you don't truly know it. If you want to be a true professional at what you do, there's just an extra credit note for all of you. You have to be able to teach what you know, not just know it. Because there are some people out there who really know their stuff really well and they can do it, but they can't explain it. A true professional can not only do it, but they can explain it. And when you get to the level of being able to explain what you do, at the professional level, what happens is now you open yourself to new possibilities. This is how you can get to the point of being able to teach others how to do the same thing that you do. It's like I can coach someone on how to be a coach because I can explain it. I can teach someone how to be a pro level basketball player because I know how to explain it. Because if I could just do it, but I can't explain it to you, then you could watch me, but you might not be able to learn it because I'm not able to articulate it. So your ability to articulate what you know and transfer that knowledge to other people, that ability to teach and educate gives you a whole other set of possibilities. And if you don't have this ability, I would suggest that you develop it. Number 4, we're talking here today about what makes you a professional. So first, I'm just giving you the high level points of what is expected of you when the word professional is next to your name. Number 4, people expect that you can make the job look easy. When you're a professional, people expect, this is just an expectation societally that people just have as humans. People just expect that you're going to make it look easy because you're a professional in what you do. Remember, I was playing basketball I was in Germany and I was messing around with this agent. He took me around to this team to go practice with the team because the goal was if I play well enough in this practice, and maybe I'll impress the coach and then maybe that team will decide they want to sign me. And I went to the practice and I did pretty well. At least I thought I did pretty well in the practice. And then that night I'm sitting down with the agent at dinner, the agent and his assistant at dinner. And I thought I did pretty well. He said, well, the way you did was just okay. It wasn't that great. And I asked him, what do you mean? He said, well, yeah, you were scoring, but when you were scoring, you were trying too hard to score. And over here, as an American player, Dre, if you're going to play here, the expectation is that you make it look easy. So you got to score like really easily. But if you work hard to score, then people are going to think you're not that good. Now, that was a surprise to me. It was a shock to me when he said it to me, but I didn't argue with him because he knew the game better than I did. I said, okay, well, if that's the expectation, then that just means I got to score a bunch of points. And he also said, when you're an American, you got to score a bunch of points. You can't just be out here passing and trying to get a triple double. They don't respect that over here. They respect points. If you're an American, they expect you to score all the points. So I said, all right, well, next place he takes me, we played in the game. As a matter of fact, I just shot the ball every damn time. I scored a bunch of points. And after the game, he was impressed. That's not even the way that I normally play. I will pass the ball to teammates. I don't go into a game. When I was playing, I never went into a game like, all right, I got to score a certain amount of points to prove something. That's not the way that I would play. It doesn't mean I didn't score, but that wasn't what my goal was. But based on the framing that he gave me, he was like, you got to score a lot of points. That's how it works over here. I said, all right, cool. So I just shot the ball every time. I scored a bunch of points. And after the game, he was like, man, Dre, you had a great game. I didn't even, again, that's what he wanted. And sometimes as a professional, many times as a professional, you have to adjust to the situation. So as they say, when in Rome, do as the Romans. And that's what he said. This is the formula for being good. And I said, all right, well, I'll just do that. I know how to do it. I didn't want to do it that way, but if that's what I got to do, all right, that's what I'll do. So that's what I did. So as a professional, people expect you to make the game look easy. When you call yourself a pro, people expect you to make it look easy. So for example, if you ever, any of you who's a basketball fan, you ever go to like a summertime basketball league, like a pro-am league or a recreational league, and some guy who plays pro is out there playing with guys who are not pro. So down here in Miami, they have leagues like this where guys who are, let's say some NBA player comes to the league and he's going to play one particular night. And he's playing against a bunch of guys who might be college players, high school players, or they're just regular everyday guys, but they're playing in this league. Your expectation is that because this guy's in the NBA, he plays for the New York Knicks and the Miami Heat, you're expecting that he's going to dominate the game and make it look easy just because he's supposed to be better than everybody else on the court, right? Isn't that the expectation? That's just the expectation, just because of who he is. Just because he's a pro, he's supposed to be better than everybody else. And if it looks like he's trying too hard to succeed against these guys who are not pros, then you have less respect for him just because of He's making it look, why is he trying so hard? Ain't it supposed to be easy for him? He's in the NBA. Ain't it supposed to be easy? This is the expectation that people have. Is this true or not? And if you think about it, you'll notice it. Somebody said like Durant. Yeah. So if Kevin Durant came to your local LA Fitness and played with a bunch of guys who work at Taco Bell, you would expect that he would just dominate the game very easily. And if he's not doing that, then you would be like, what's wrong with Kevin Durant? He should be dominating these guys. So anyway, let's move on. Can we talk a little bit more? Y'all want to keep going? I'm going to talk about how to professionalize your business. I'm going to give you, I got, how many points I got here? How to professional, I got 4 here. I actually did this in 2 parts, so I actually got 7, but maybe I'll just do 4. How to professionalize your business. I might do all 7, but I'll have to go really quickly. So if y'all can listen quickly, then I can go through these. We don't want to take up, I want to take up all of the day going through this. So how to professionalize your business, okay? You want to get better at professionalizing what you do. Definition of professionalizing. Again, I told you, I defer to the dictionary here. These are not Dre's thoughts. These are straight out the dictionary. It means to give professional qualities typically by incurring training or raising requirements. That's what it means to professionalize something. I'm going to tell you things you need to do if you want to professionalize your approach, your work. Doesn't matter what you do for a living. You can be unemployed. You can be an entrepreneur. You can work in some bureaucratic organizations such as academia, corporate, or the government. No matter what it is, I'm just talking about you personally. How do you professionalize your approach and what you do? Number 1, get professionals around you. If you want to professionalize what you do, you got to work with professionals. You can't call yourself professional at what you do when you're working with a bunch of amateurs. You can't have amateurs on your team and call what you do professional. You need pros on your team. What is a pro? Person who does something that's their main paid occupation. Person who understands the standards. Person who brings it to the table consistently. You know what you're going to get. You can learn from them. They make it look easy. Their performance and results are consistent and dependable. I just told you this. You got to get people around you. What I just told you in the first 4 points. You need to get people around you who are like that. And first of all, you need to be one of those people. And then you need people around you who are similar. That's how you professionalize what you do. You get a bunch of pros around you. Are you going to perform at a high level? I would think so, right? Now, if you got a bunch of amateurs, then maybe sometimes it hits, sometimes it misses, but you never know. It's like a crapshoot. When you have pros around you, you're going to perform consistently all the time. All right, everybody understand? So the work on your game definition. Now, this is one that I did make up. That if you're a professional at what you do, you show up and deliver every single time, regardless of how you feel. This is another thing that makes you a professional. You show up and deliver every single time, regardless of how you feel. So any of you who didn't get a lot of sleep last night, or you're tired, or you hate your job, or you're getting tired of your customers, or your boss is getting on your nerves, if you are a professional, you still show up and deliver, even though you don't feel so great. That's what makes you a pro. You deliver even when it's not fun, even when it's not easy, even when you don't feel like it. We call that third day. So you see these books behind me, see that red book right there next to my head on both sides. It's called the third day. The third day is those days when you don't really feel like working, but you show up and work anyway. Point number 2. We're talking here today about how to professionalize your business. Number 2, amateurs take what they can get. Professionals choose what they want. Let me take a sip of water because I want that point to sink in. Let me say it one more time. Amateurs take what they can get. Professionals choose what they want. What does this even mean? When you're an amateur, you accept what is handed to you because you're not in position to make demands. When you're a professional, on the other hand, you set the tone and you determine the rules of engagement. That's what a professional does. So if you want to be a professional at what you do, you must start demanding and negotiating, not just merely accepting. Because there are only 3 ways you can make money. You can accept what someone offers you, you can negotiate, or you can make a demand. 1, 2, 3. There are only 3 ways you can earn money. Someone makes you an offer, you say yes, or you negotiate and go back and forth until you settle on something you agree with, or you just say this is the number, and either you meet my number or you walk away. 1, 2, 3. If you're a professional, you're at levels 2 or 3. You negotiate, you demand. You don't just accept things. Unless somebody offers you exactly what you want, which is accepting, but you're getting what you want. So you don't want to, if you're a pro, first of all, you don't give away your services for free or your products for free because you're a pro, which means you do something as a paid occupation, which means you get paid for what you do. Simple as that. You got to get paid. If you're not getting paid, you're not a professional. And you know what you're worth, and you know the value of what you bring to the table. And therefore, you don't accept anything less than that. And if someone doesn't want to meet you where you're at, then you let them walk away and go find somebody else. That's what a professional does. A professional turns away opportunity, quote unquote, opportunity, simply because whoever is coming to you cannot meet your asking price. And that's completely okay. So if you say the price is, I remember I heard Puff Daddy or Diddy, whatever y'all call him, several years ago. He was talking about If I'm in a negotiation for a business deal and I want 45 million and they offer me 43 million, I got to be willing to walk away from the 43 because my number is 45. And the whole point of that, just completely, I'm taking it out of context what he was saying, but that point alone makes the point, which is when you're a professional, there comes a time when you have to be willing to stand on what you want and walk away from anything that's less than that if you want to be a true professional. And this is something that many entrepreneurs have trouble with. Many professionals are challenged with doing because it's hard for them to walk away from anything because that's rooted in a scarcity mindset. When you have an abundance mindset, you're willing to walk away from anything that's less than what you want because you have a belief that the thing that is what you want is on the other, right around the corner and is coming your way. But again, that is a mentality much more than it is about the tangible action of doing it. Number 3, we're talking here today about how to professionalize what you do. I'll take questions at the end, by the way, when I get through these points. Number 3, you got to know your data and you got to be led by your data, led by the actual numbers and information, not by your emotions and feelings. This is one that gets violated often by professionals. Many professionals make their decisions based on emotion, and it's not because they're trying to be wrong, because all human beings have emotions. If you didn't have emotions, you wouldn't be human. You'd be a robot. The challenge is you need to learn to manage and control your emotions, not allow them to control you. Many people are controlled by their emotions rather than controlling the emotion. Because when an emotion hits, the first thing is you recognize it, accept it, identify it. Then you got to let your logic make the decision. What I tell people is that logic is, or emotions rather, are great gas pedals, but terrible steering wheels. So you don't want your emotion directing which way you go because emotions will drive you into a wall. What you want to do is logically and rationally decide where you're going. And then you use your emotions for their energy to move you in the direction that you have logically chosen to go. Many people get this backwards. All right. Do not be driven by your emotions. Any of you ever seen the TV show The Prophet with Marcus Lemonis? This happens all the time. He comes in. If you've never seen the show, there's this guy, he comes in and he goes into a business that's failing or about to go out of business because they're behind on payments and they don't have any money and they're not making money, whatever. He goes in and he writes them a check to basically save them financially. And then he takes over the business. They still work there, but he goes in charge. He gets in charge. He takes over the business. He makes a bunch of changes to the business to help the business be successful. Generally, that's the gist of the show. But many times when he does this, he'll write the check and he says to the person, when I give you this check, I'm in charge. I know this is your business, but I'm buying my way into having control. You understand that, right? And the person says, yeah, I understand. And then he starts making changes to their business. Often these are businesses that the person who he's helping, they started the business. It's like their business, like a mom and pop thing. This is their thing. They're like their child. And when he starts making changes to their business, a lot of times the entrepreneur will push back and say, well, I don't want to make that change or this change or this change. And Marcus will remind them, hey, remember what I told you, that when you take my money, I'm in charge. And they'll push back and they'll kill the deal. And they end up not working together because the entrepreneur is more emotionally attached to their creation than they are logically attached to what's actually going to help save my business so I don't go out of business. And this is a mistake that a lot of professionals make every single day. Number 4, we're talking here today about how to professionalize your business. Number 4, give your customers an experience that you are proud of. Customers and clients. Give your people, whoever's giving you money, give them an experience that you are proud of. Even the people who don't spend a lot of money, even the people who end up asking for a refund, even the people who you don't even like, you still give them a great experience because that's a reflection of your professionalism, is a reflection of your business. A professional does this every single time. Your customers are, when you're an entrepreneur, technically you don't have a boss, but when you're an entrepreneur, the customers are the boss because if they stop buying from you, you're out of business. All right. They determine whether you have a business or not. So show them the respect and courtesy you would show a person who could literally fire you. Because if all your customers leave you, you have no business. So show them the same respect you would show to your boss and treat them how you want to be treated, and understand that buyers are buyers, non-buyers are non-buyers. In business, this is pretty much the way it works. The biggest jump that you'll make in business is going from 0 to 1, and that's in dollars. Biggest jump you make in business is getting a person like your customer or client to go from spending $0 with you to spending $1 with you. Because if you look at any of you who uses, let's say, social media a lot and you sell things, you look at your customer list and you look at your social media people who follow you on social media, there's a line between the two, because following on social media doesn't cost money, but being your customer costs money. They have to spend at least $1. So the people who go to spending $1, now they're customers, and a buyer is a buyer, meaning they'll spend $1, they'll spend 10, they'll spend 10, they'll spend 1,000. But someone who's never spent any money hasn't spent any money. And you ain't got no business if people aren't spending any money. Everybody got it? All right. Can I go to these last three? I'll give you these last three. I told you I'm going to be pretty quick here so everybody catches it. So 3 more. How to professionalize your business. So this is point number 5. Consistent experience both internally and externally. What does that mean? When you're a professional, what you do, there's consistent internal and external experience. External means your customers and clients. The people come to your business and they want to buy something. So yesterday I went to a donut shop. I like glazed donuts. Any of you ever want to buy me donuts, give me glazed donuts. None of that artisanal extra stuff. I don't like the donuts with any kind of cream or anything inside of it. Don't buy me those. I don't like the sprinkles, just regular glazed donuts. Anyway, I went to a donut shop yesterday. And when you go to that shop, the owners of that business, I would expect, I don't know them, but I would expect that their angle is to give you a consistent experience. Every customer comes in, there's a process that we greet them this way, we take their order this way, we prepare the order that way, we get them their stuff this way. So if they order this, they get this kind of package, they order this, you put it over here. So when I get a glazed donut, they put it in these little bags. If you get like multiple donuts, let's say 4 or more donuts, they put it in a little box. If you get a bunch of donuts, they put it in a bigger box. There's an experience. All right, there's a process that they have for how it goes. That's the external experience, how your customer sees you. Then you have your internal experience. The internal experience is what's happening with your staff. How do you deal with your staff? Do you have a process for how they do things? Do you have a process for how you communicate with them? Is there a process for troubleshooting or fixing a problem? There needs to be an internal and external process that is similar. Same things the same way every time is what I tell entrepreneurs who I work with. Same things the same way every time, over and over and over again. That's an internal and external experience. So let's say you go to a place like McDonald's or Burger King, the workers, they had to wear a uniform, right? Everybody got to show up in uniform. You show up not in uniform, they send you home. Any of you didn't see there's a documentary it's a series on, I believe it's on Amazon. It's about Hugh Hefner. Y'all know who Hugh Hefner is, right? He's the guy who started Playboy. And I think it's called Made in America or Only in America. Just go on Amazon Prime Video and look up Hugh Hefner. You'll see it. And the docuseries, it just talks about how Playboy came to be. And Playboy has these Playboy clubs. They're like social clubs for people who are Playboy fans. And they talked about how the women, the bunnies who work in the Playboy clubs, there's certain standards that they have to adhere to. Like their legs got to be shaven and their makeup got to be done a certain way. Their nails always have to be done. They got to stay in a certain physical shape to put on the uniform and all these things. And if you don't adhere to those standards, you get fired. You can't work. They'll send you home because you're not looking the way that you're supposed to look. The whole point is their standards. And any of you who's running a business, there must be standards at what you do. If you have no standards, you get chaos. That's how it works in life. When there are no standards, the result is chaos. Number 2, we're talking, or number 5, number 6. Number 6, these are things that you need to do to professionalize your business. Number 2, you must be, number 6 again, creating assets, not just endlessly working. What is an asset? The financial definition of an asset is something that puts money in your pocket. Simple as that. If it puts money in your pocket, or at least it has the potential to do so, that's an asset. So when you go on your camera and you record a course, then you've created an asset. Now, just because you record the course does not mean you make money. But because you recorded the course, assuming that you have the intention of marketing and selling the course itself is an asset because it has the potential to make you money. You get it? So the more assets you create, this allows you to professionalize your business, because when you have assets working for you, that will at some point theoretically relieve you of having to do all the work yourself. So if you have to do all the work yourself, eventually you're going to run out of time or you're going to run out of talent. You can't just keep working forever, because eventually you might want to retire. Maybe you get sick. Maybe you got injured. Maybe you want to go on vacation. But if you have no assets that can make money for you in your place, then how can you stop working? You can't. This is the issue. I know a lot of people who work in the personal training space. I've known a lot of personal trainers since I've been down here in Miami. And one of the things that I noticed that many of them, not all of them, but many of them have in common is that they are training and they're really good at their training and they make their money for doing their sessions, but without having any assets, they can't ever stop working. And it's an issue. And it happens actually in every business. It's not, I'm using them as an example, but it happens in a professional speaker business. So if you're a professional speaker and you're great at booking stages, so you're getting paid every time you book a speech and then you go give the speech, you make your money. The problem is as soon as you get done with that speech, now you got to go do it again to make more money if you don't have any assets. So when you write a book, the book is an asset because the book can make you money. You record a course, that's an asset. If you have some type of membership program, that is an asset because people can keep paying for it. So anything you have that can make you money that does not require you to personally do all the work is an asset. And when you're a professional at what you do, you must be continually creating assets, because Let's take someone who's not around anymore. You take someone like Jim Rohn, who was Tony Robbins' mentor back in the day. The assets that he created could put his family in a position to still make money from what he did, even when he's no longer around. Right. So one of the things that I work on all the time is creating assets and then laying out a plan for, okay, if I was to drop dead tomorrow, knock on wood, that doesn't happen by God's grace. But if I was to drop dead tomorrow, then here are the assets that I have. And here's how somebody else can go and sell these things and market these things and still make money from the things that I created, even though I'm no longer creating stuff. But everything I create, I'm looking for a way to make it into an asset. So what I'm talking about right now, once this comes down off of whatever app you're watching me on, this will be in the back end of our university membership program so that this becomes an asset. Everything, what I'm saying right now, this actual video will become an asset, but you want to be continually creating assets in your business so that your business is not entirely dependent on you doing all the work, because no matter how hard of a worker you are, eventually you can't keep working. Eventually you're going to stop working. Eventually you run out of time. That's also known as death, and you got to be able to do something else. You need another plan. Number 7, this is the last one. We're talking here today about how to professionalize your business, and I'll take questions at the end, by the way. Strategies and systems that are clearly defined. I talked about this when I mentioned that the internal and external experience. Your internal and external experience is based on a system. So McDonald's has a system, right? If you pull up to the drive-through window at McDonald's, there is a system that the staff has been trained on how to handle that. Hello, welcome to McDonald's. May I take your order? All right. And then they take the order. Then they let you know what the order is. Then they maybe offer you some type of upsell. Then they say, all right, drive up to the window. Then they take your money. Then they say, drive up to the next window. Then they give you the food. That's a system. That's not just random. They're not just randomly deciding to do that just because you pulled up. There's a system behind that tells you exactly what to do and what not to do. McDonald's actually has a place. A lot of people don't know about this. It's called Hamburger University. Any of you ever heard of Hamburger University? It's a real thing. It is a real place. It is in Chicago, and it is a real university, not like a college, like an accredited college, but it is a university that is designed that when you become a manager of a McDonald's or an owner, a franchisee of a McDonald's, you actually have to go to Hamburger University and get an education in how to run the McDonald's system. That's what a system looks like. When you have a really tight system and it's working, that's what it's like. You make people go through your system so that they know how to do your stuff your way so that they do it the right way. And by the way, you can do this on any scale. You don't have to be McDonald's with billions of customers to do this. You can do this with your business right now. Just create a system for how it works such that someone who's not you can operate it, because all you basically going to do is explain them the rules and how to do it. That's what systems mean. And strategies, this plan of action for how things can be run. And there's a lot of details in this. I'm not going into the details. I told you I was going to be relatively quick and going through this, but I'm just giving y'all the overall. So let me recap these points here. I gave you 4 on what expectations there are of a professional. Then I gave you 7 about professionalizing yourself and your stuff. And then I'll take questions. So if you got a question or comment, put it in the comments right now. I'll address it in one moment. So the first part, this is 4 pieces. What people expect of you when the word professional is next to your name. Number 1, your work, performance, and your results are consistent and dependable. Number 2, you're able to solve problems because you have seen it all. You can diagnose any problem and you can fix it in your area of expertise. Number 3, people can learn from you. This is not about just your ability to do a thing, but your ability to explain a thing. That's what takes you to a higher level as a professional. And number 4, you make it look easy. All right, when you're a pro, people expect you to make the job look easier than it would be if they were doing it, because you have skills that they don't have. At least they think you do. Now, how to professionalize your business. 7 points. Number 1, get professionals on your team. You want to professionalize what you do. You need pros around you, not amateurs. You need pros. And if you have amateurs, you need to coach them up and train them up and turn them into pros. Number 2, amateurs take what they can get. Professionals choose what they want. When you're a professional, you set the terms. You do not let terms be set for you. Number 3, know your data, know your numbers, and be led by the data, not by your emotions. Many professionals consistently violate this point. Number 4, give your customers an experience that you are proud of. Even a customer who spends $1, they should be happy with their experience, just like the customer who spends $1 million should be happy with their experience. Doesn't mean they get the same experience, but they should both be happy with their experience. And if you're a professional, that's what you do. You treat every buyer like a buyer, because buyers are buyers. The person who spends $1 is a buyer, and the person who spends $10,000 is also a buyer. Treat them all with the level of professionalism you would expect. And next part, number 5, consistent experience both internally and externally. This means having processes that everybody needs to follow. Again, like if you worked at Burger King, there's a process. They tell you exactly what the rules are, what to do, what not to do. You need to do the same thing. Number 6, create assets, not just endlessly working. Assets are things that have the potential to put money in your pocket that don't require your personal time and attention and effort, because at some point you can't keep working. This applies to everybody. Do you have assets that can keep making you money even when you're not working anymore? And number 7, strategies and systems that are clearly defined. Again, McDonald's has Hamburger University, to where they tell you exactly what the system is, exactly what you can do, exactly what you can't do, and they tell you exactly how, when, and where to do it. And this is the reason why McDonald's is McDonald's. They don't have the greatest product, but they are very successful because they have the best system. So a lot of times in business, the system and the strategy are more important than the product. I'm not saying have a garbage product, but your system and strategy matter just as much, if not more, than the product itself. That out the way. You got a question or comment, put it in the comment section. I'll address it right now. Let me go through my platforms. We're live in 7 different places right now. So shout out to the Wi-Fi continuing to work. And let's see what we got. I'm going on TikTok now, and then I'll go to Instagram. You got a question or comment, go ahead and post it. While I'm doing this, Work on Your Game University. If you would like to work with me directly, have me as your direct coach. I just gave you a good sample on my style. This is not a coaching session because I'm not talking to any individual person. But if you would like to work with me directly, have me as your direct coach, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's a link in my bio on whatever app you are watching me on. 205 Parksdale, good morning to you, sir. Shout out to the new followers. Quad Father says you have a question. What's the question? Someone said, I ain't got no question. Let's see. Someone asked me, am I an attorney? No, I am not an attorney. Let's see. Trust the system said Tom Brady is a professional. Yes, Tom Brady is a good example. Yes. Raphael said capital gain is the main objective. When you run the business, yes. Yeah, the objective is you want to make yourself some money. That's the reason you start a business. Yes. 205, appreciate it. Goal oriented. Yes. Stanley, what's going on? Good morning. Someone asked, do I still play basketball? No, I stopped playing basketball in 2015. Shout out to the people who are still playing basketball. I don't play anymore. Sugar Rush, what's good? Good morning to you. Entrepreneur Osa says, how do you combat overthinking in regards to making a decision? That's a good question. One of the things you can do, Entrepreneur Osa, is have a framework for how you make decisions so that you can just run things through your framework every time something comes up. So it's kind of like, let's take a doctor, for example, who's doing an operation. They get trained for when they're doing a surgery, right? And something happens. They're already trained for, if this happens, here's the first thing you do. Here's the second thing you do. Here's the third thing you do. And then based on those things that you did, if it looks like this, do this. If it looks like that, do that. If it looks like this, do this thing. So there's a framework. There's a system for it. So you can create systems for pretty much anything that's coming up over and over again. So Entrepreneur Osa, I'm assuming you probably had to make decisions all the time. So what you want to do is come up with a framework for making decisions. So every time you need to make a decision, you don't need to stop and think about, well, what do I do this time? Man, what do I do this time? What do I do this time? If you have a framework, then it's easy to make the decision. I'll give you an example. Smart Shield, thank you for the gifts. I appreciate that. So what was I about to tell you as an example? It just slipped my mind as soon as I said that. So how you make decisions, a framework for making your decision, your framework for handling things. Oh yeah, here it is. I was talking to this guy who's also in the coaching space, and he said that anytime he sees someone who seems to be offering expertise in an area in which he knows he needs to fix the issue, he says, if whatever they're offering, if their program or coaching or whatever it is costs less than $150,000, that was the number he said. If it costs less than $150,000, I'm buying it. So he said he was at a conference once, and this guy got on the stage and he was talking about how to best make videos for the internet. And the coach was saying, I know I need help with making videos for the internet. So whatever this guy is selling, I'm gonna find out how much it is. If it costs anything, if it costs $150K or less, I'm buying it. And then the guy's program was like, it was way less than, it was like $30,000, something like that. He bought it and he got into the guy's program. So that's a framework for making decisions. It's a very simple framework, but it is a framework indeed. So you just want to come up with a framework for how you make choices, how you make decisions, so that you don't have to be paralyzed in analysis every single time something comes up. That's a good question. A lot of people have that issue. They get stuck in analysis. Go Yo Gots, appreciate you. Good morning. Good to see you. Smart Shield, again, appreciate you. All right, glad you got value out of that. Entrepreneur Osa, hopefully that is useful for you. If you got a question or comment on Instagram, I don't think any came through. I don't think I got any. Soul Art, good morning. Crespo, good morning to you. Other than that, I don't think I got any questions on Instagram. I don't think I got any questions on it. What is this? A little bit, and all of a sudden, one of my devices all of a sudden tries to connect to my computer's audio. I don't know what that's about. I just moved the microphone like 1 inch and it does that. I don't know what that's about, but Apple needs to fix that. I don't like that. All right. Anyway, Work on Your Game University. Any of you would like to work with me directly, you like to have me as your direct coach. If you would like to get more trainings like this, I do trainings like this Monday through Friday on the lives. But once they come off of these apps, because they don't stay here forever, once we take them down, we always save these in the back end of our university. So basically, any topic you could possibly think that I have addressed when it comes to business, building your brand, mindset, communication, leadership, discipline, confidence, mental toughness. I've been talking about this stuff for 2 decades now. I don't look that old, do I? But I've been talking about this stuff for 2 decades. We have a lot of it organized in the back end of our university. So if you would like to get access to that stuff, in addition to having access to me as your direct personal coach, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That link is in the bio wherever you're watching me. Just go to my profile, wherever app you're on. We're on 7 different places right now. I'm pretty easy to find. Let me see. Anything came through on Instagram. Instagram question is, The Real says, what's more important in business, holding your word or just getting the job done regardless of the manner? I think those are both. They are both necessary. You want to hold to your word, because if you're in business, you tell someone you want to do something, you should probably do it, because then you'd be violating one of my points that I shared here today, was giving people an experience you'd be proud of. So that's important. And then getting the job done is also important. So I say they're one and the same. I wouldn't put any one over the other. You want to do what you say you want to do, give people what you promise, deliver on your promise, and get the job done. I mean, that's what entrepreneurs are supposed to do. Get the job done even when you don't feel like getting the job done. So Entrepreneur Osa says, analysis paralysis is definitely one of my major issues, but I will apply what you said. Thanks. Well, good stuff. Framework for making decisions is very valuable. Yes. Excellent. Come to the university. If you like that, Entrepreneur Osa, that's just something I gave you off the top. Imagine stuff we got that when we got it all planned out and laid out and frameworked out. So this is just a sample. If you like this, imagine what happens when you come to the university. That's what I tell everybody. So everybody, again, I do these lives Monday through Friday. I start somewhere between 8 o'clock and 8:30 a.m. is when I start my lives. Sometimes I start a little bit later because I got a 2-year-old child. So sometimes I got to tend to him a little bit. But 8 o'clock to 8:30, between 8 and 8:30 is when I start the lives Monday through Friday. So if y'all like these lives, just be here consistently around that time. Y'all will see me. Everybody have a great Monday and a great week. We are out of here. See y'all tomorrow. Thanks, Crespo. Good morning to you.